Training Transference and Its Impact on Organizations, presented by Delilah Richardson, Tanasha Goins, Chelsea Irby, myself, Alexis Burrell, and Maria Madera for LHRD 7002, Perspectives on Leadership and Human Resource Development at Louisiana State University. This presentation will summarize key points from Group F's research perspectives titled Training Transference and Its Impact on Organizations. Throughout this presentation, we hope the audience will gain a better understanding of the topic. As we know, quality training programs can provide advantages to organizations such as improved employee performance, increased productivity, and reduced employee turnover rates, to name a few. Transfer of learning occurs when learning in one context or with one set of materials impacts performance in another context or within other related materials as defined by Perkins and Solomon. Baldwin and Ford state, training outcomes are defined as the amount of original transfer that occurs during training programs and the retention of that material after the program is completed. The hope of training and educational programs is that a learner can positively transfer or apply what's learned to other situations. In this presentation, we will discuss training benefits, problems experienced, transfer of learning in further detail, training input considerations, desired outcomes, and finally, implications. We hope you enjoy this presentation.
Over the last decade, several studies have supported the positive benefits of high-quality training. This is why communicating the benefits of training within this presentation will help any HRD professional in the future. First, it is important for us to let you know research tells us about the benefits of training such as increased organizational profit, improved organizational culture, development of organizational human capital, and increased productivity. Second, training is viewed as an important component for organizations to use to drive and implement changes. Within the next few slides, we will be discussing the notable studies that introduce a new evaluation that focus on maximizing utilization of human assets and capital rather than simply minimizing costs associated with business operations.
Training has been considered for a long time as a vehicle by organizations to drive and implement change. This view has assigned training implementation as a highly visible and strategic tool by organizations. This assignment, of course, results in a desire from organizations that trainings implemented yield measurable results. This result, delineating from training implementation, has been a challenge for training designers. This challenge persists because of the phenomenon transfer of learning. Unsuccessful transfer of learning is veritably frequent, and the field of human resource development has completed many studies in hope of addressing this problem. Stay with us as the term transfer of learning will be defined, qualified, and discussed more in depth in the next slide. Transfer of learning occurs when learning in one context or with one set of materials impacts on performance in another context or with other related materials. Inherent in the phenomenon transfer of learning are many complications, namely its highly variable nature. This nature marks transfer of learning as difficult to encapsulate and formularize. Organizations are interested in understanding barriers that mitigate transfer of learning, as these barriers contribute to non-transfer of learning and substantial costs to organizations, as billions of dollars are spent on training annually. Understandably, organizations desire to reap a return on such an investment and see the skills taught manifest in and as quality work output within their organization. Disappointingly, despite the desired effect, it is estimated that between 10 and 20% of the training transfers to the workplace. Training outcomes are defined as the amount of original transfer that occurs during the training program and the retention of that material after the program is completed. Achieving performance results from training has been a whole organization challenge due to the complications the concept transfer of learning presents to training design. Despite the implementation of well-designed trainings, training outcomes are not translating to successful transfer. This common result is rendering many training designs as ineffective, as employees are not transporting skills learned in training back to the workplace. Best practices as it relates to increasing transfer of learning is still very much a point of contention within the field of human resource development. The book of literature markedly describes the benefits provided by training implementation within organizations, but unfortunately, the literature on transfer of learning doesn't proffer a comprehensive, resolute answer as to best methods that should be employed to ensure successful transfer of learning. The research does, however, delineate that more consideration and application of training input factors such as training design, training characteristics, and work environment should contribute to transfer of learning. In the next slide, we will discuss these training input factors and provide examples of each factor's offering to learning transfer. Let's take a look at the training input factors that are considered influential on learning transfer. The first is trainee characteristics. The characteristics of adult learners necessitate special consideration given to the inputs of training design because adults learn differently from children and require different tools to prime them for learning and the subsequent transfer of learning. Research supports the usage of adult learning principles in training design. The adult learning principles are: 1. Adults need to know why they are learning, as this qualification provides motivation to the adult learner. 2. Adults are motivated to learn by the need to solve problems. Injecting this principle in training design helps adult learner view training as a solution to a personal problem, thus reinforcing learning motivation. 3. Learning approaches should match adults' background diversity. For example, training designed for a new employee wouldn't be appropriate for a tenured employee with 20 years experience. And 4, adults need to be actively involved in the learning process. Training design that allocates time for the adult learner to apply principle or theory taught reinforces learning retention. The adult learning principles inform the development and delivery of trainings offered by organizations because they provide a blueprint as to what needs to be incorporated for learners to engage and retain, thus contributing to learning transfer. Now let's move to training input factor training design. Although trainers have free rein to assign consideration and inclusions in their training design, both the study of andragogy and training design support the practice of according training design to training design models. The 5-step training model is exalted as the prime design model. The 5-step training model embodies the universal learning principles: why, what, structure, response, feedback, and reward. If the 5-step training model is employed in training design, designers have a blueprint and a streamlined way of incorporating delineated organization objectives as the universal learning principles are defined by such objectives. The last training input factor that should be considered in training design aimed at supporting learning transfer is work environment characteristics. The success of learning transfer is not solely subject to trainee characteristics and trainee design. The environment in which learning occurs is also substantially important. This environment is coined the transfer climate. Transfer climate encompasses an individual's perceptions of supervisor support, opportunity to use new training, level of peer support, supervisor sanctions, and positive or negative personal outcomes resulting from the application of training on the job. Reworded, the transfer climate is described by individuals' perception of social support structure that exists within the organization. If this measure is garnered before training design, it will inform the designer on what additional elements that should be added to foster transfer of learning.
When an employee is given the opportunity to attend on-the-job training, they will improve in their job and show adequate performance. Therefore, the employees will receive a better understanding of their job duties. Competent employees are engaged with company standards to gain a higher position as a leader. Training will therefore create a supportive workplace and a personal sense of balance. Without on-the-job training, many employees may have not searched for the training needed to perform their job duties. They may feel challenged, underappreciated, or a sense of not belonging. Training may help the employee address their selective skill and acknowledge their weaknesses. The employee will identify tools that may strengthen their skills needed to improve their work performance. A development program will allow personal and organizational development skills that will increase overall productivity and workflow. When an employer can provide training to allow transferable skills, this will strengthen the work culture and environment. When evaluating the need of belonging to the organization, studies show knowledge of the work required increases overall performance. The development transcends modeling from leadership, managers, and the entire culture of the organization. Positive training outcomes of transference may create an environment where the employee can work with abundance of knowledge, personal development, and group development. A vigorous training and development program warrant the employees have a reliable experience and obtain the knowledge. The employee should be aware of the expectations and procedures within the company. Once they receive the adequate training, the company will see abundance in financial gain. Productivity will increase when a company implements training courses. Ongoing training can create new ideas which can be formed as a direct result of training and development. An employee will feel more likely valued and not change jobs if someone invests in them. A company training can make the company look more attractive to potential new recruits who want to improve their skills and opportunities related to the new skills.
Implications. An organization's ability to understand the benefit of investing in high-quality training for their employers may provide the structure necessary to continue to be successful in the 21st century and beyond. Training is vital for every company and recognized as beneficial in several categories. Training is crucial to the employee's knowledge. Training is also an opportunity to refresh the employer's skill and benefits of transference to organizational growth. This will help an employee line up job-changing skills, adding value to the growth of the organization. The basic function of theory is to gain knowledge, cooperation, inventive thinking, and problem solving. Jezebel and Bashi 2013. Understanding the implications of learning transfer aids both organizations and training designers in implementing effective training that meet organizational goals and objectives.
As you can see, the benefits of training and development for organizations are endless, but assessing their impact is challenging and complex because there are many variables that affect firm productivity and performance above and beyond just normal training programs. However, executives should continue to invest in training and development since even during economic hardships, training is what enables them to persist and conquer challenges. Also, it is clear though, the more progress is needed to assess the transfer of learning. Unsuccessful transfer learning is a major topic of human resource development, and many studies in hope of addressing this problem. This presentation offered an organized view of the literature associated with training programs and their impact on organizations, such as growth, profit, improvement. Overall, employees appreciate being able to build new skills, improve their job performance, and move towards more challenging roles.